More questions about Jeffrey Epstein's apparent suicide. The autopsy results found broken bones in his neck. No indication yet of foul play. Attorney General Barr has said he's going to investigate his own prison, his own administration. With all these questions piling up, there are also calls for him to recuse. And now there's a brand new suit against Epstein this week. And it is not because of his death. It is because New York just passed a brand new law that allows victims of sexual abuse to sue their abusers, enabling a quest for justice that had actually been barred by the deadlines that had previously existed in the law. Now, we just heard from the attorney whose client filed the first suit against Epstein. She says that it is a big deal that a new law provides these new options for alleged victims.
Her claim has been time barred for many, many years. There are 365 days where anybody of any age can sue their abusers. And that's a big deal. That creates a mechanism for redress, and it hopefully will help the healing process for those people suffering in silence.
I am now joined by renowned legal journalist Dahlia Lithwick, senior editor at Slate, who covers the Supreme Court, hosts their Legal Affairs podcast, and has held visiting positions at the University of Georgia and University of Virginia Law Schools. We also want to mention she's a recipient of the Hillman Prize, which said you were the nation's best legal commentator. I'm thrilled to have you on the beat.
Did my mother write this?
No. Shout out to Dahlia Lithwick's mom, though, too, while we're at it. Hi, Mom. Great to see you.
Good to be here.
With a lot of obviously serious stuff going on. I wanted to start big picture on what it means. You know, there's so many things in the law that just are written the way they are and they stick around for hundreds of years. And this movement that actually advocates say is positive, that there's these new suits, including Epstein, who happens to be in the news, because they've given victims more options.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Ari, as long as you think of these crimes, particularly against children, particularly sex crimes, where we know overwhelmingly that victims don't come forward, and they certainly don't come forward as children, and they come forward reluctantly, and they come forward only when they're very, very confident that the system is going to protect them. This is essentially a way of saying that even though, as a formal legal matter, it's too late, it's not too late. Mm-hmm. And I think that in an era of Me Too, when people are coming forward and saying something happened to me 37 years ago that I never told anybody it happened because of the shame and the power disparity and the stigma, I think it's important to be able to empower women who up until now have been sort of litigating through hashtag to be able to actually effectuate real legal change.
Yeah, and in a lot of the cases, statistically, it's women, it's young women and girls, and it's boys. Yeah. In the case of the Vatican, the New York Times reports today on a story. It's an alleged story, but in one of the new suits by this man, Mr. Green, and he told Pope John Paul about the abuse when he had a private audience, and his legal team seeking to depose Vatican officials. Now, what do lawyers say? We always say allegedly, but allegedly, he says that in that private audience with the Pope prayed for him, and they moved on. They didn't do anything. And he was talking about a current priest.
I think maybe the lesson for me as a legal matter of Me Too is that Me Too was journalism rushing in to correct for legal unfairness. So systems that broke down where law should have afforded people some kind of protection and didn't, journalism came in and did it. Well, I think what we're learning now is that that's a pretty good stopgap, but it's not everything. Journalism can't actually make people whole again. What can do that is the law. And so I think in a sense, this is in conversation with the Me Too work of journalists to say, good, now all these people have come forward. Thank God these Epstein accusers have come forward. How do we make them whole? And I think attempts to say it's not indefinite, but for a year, you can seek redress. I think that's immensely important given what we know now about these vulnerable victims.
Well, and you make that point speaking at the intersection of law and journalism also can expose, which is something it has in common with the law, but it does not proportionately deter, and it doesn't claim to, whereas a legal system that actually investigates and uniformly charges may deter in a way that other things don't. So that was important. Also, you walked in here. I'm gonna let viewers in behind the veil here. You walked in here and you said, "I am itching to talk about Bill Barr getting involved in something that he probably shouldn't have anything to do with." And I said, "Okay, we can get to that too. What do you want to talk about?"
You're a good man. I think I put this in the bucket of reasons that Bill Barr is Donald Trump's lawyer. And there are lots of those, right? And you've talked about them. And this starts with the Mueller report, where Barr gives a summary that isn't really a summary because it's, in fact, his opinion, exculpating Trump using Trump's own language. So we have a long line of Barr weighing in on things that the Justice Department actually has no role in. And the one that I want to think about as we have this conversation about whether Barr should be the guy who's investigating, the buck stops with him on Epstein.
Obstruction, Epstein, anything else.
Anything else, who gets to, claim immunity, who gets to claim executive privilege. There's nothing that this Justice Department won't do, seemingly, to protect the president. And the thing I wanted to bring attention to, Mark Stern at Slate wrote about this last week. It was an extraordinary brief, friend of the court brief, that was filed in a lawsuit that is going on right now in Washington, D.C. The House Oversight Committee is trying to get hold of Trump's financial records from the past 8 years from an accounting firm. District court judge said absolutely no reason that they can't see it. This is part of oversight. It went up to the Federal Appeals Court, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Panel heard it over. They're making a decision. And here's Bill Barr coming in with a Justice Department friend of the court brief saying, oh, no, they have no business getting these financial records. This is not a suit that implicates any federal statutes or laws. There's no interest that the Justice Department
You're saying
has.
He's out of order, and he doesn't care about the looks. I mean, you probably have seen the great film Wedding Crashers.
Yes.
This is Bill Barr as a litigation crasher. No one invited you. You don't have a role here, and you're only here to personally defend Donald Trump from having to do the thing he said he was going to do, which was release his tax returns years ago.
And using the argument that this is a witch hunt, using all the locution and language that this is an attempt by the House to harass the president and to make him look bad. No, this is the House doing oversight.
Mm-hmm.
They have, H.R. 1. These issues are material for them. And so it feels like Barr sort of leaping in front of the president yet again and saying, first and foremost, my interest is not the Justice Department or the United States people. It's protecting this president. And I think that when you have the conversation about Barr's responsibility in this Epstein probe, one of the things that you have to ask yourself is, not is Barr protecting the president? That's secondary. Is there the appearance that he keeps protecting the president? That matters.
It matters a lot. And as you say, it matters in cases that tie this all together, which is oversight, justice, accountability. Everyone has an interest in that. That's not a red-blue thing. Dahlia Lithwick, so great to have you on the beat.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for being halved. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.